God's Word just briefly, and I do mean that. I know every preacher says that, but I really mean that today. I mean, I'll be very brief. I always do this at Youth Sunday. We're going to be looking at 1 Samuel chapter 17. We're going to look at two verses. I'm going to kind of be jumping in the middle of a story here. It's a story that should be familiar to most. It's about David and Goliath. And it goes exactly with what's going on in our society today. There's a spirit of fear. And that's what was going on here in this story. I'm going to read those two verses and then we'll backtrack a little. First, pick up on verse 23. It says, "Then as he talked with them, there was the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, coming up from the armies of the Philistines. And he spoke according to the same words. So David heard them. And all of the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were dreadfully afraid." There was nothing that actually happened yet. Nothing had happened. But they had a spirit of fear about him. We know that at this point in time, David wasn't even a part of the army. He was just running errands, basically, what it says. You know, he was running supplies to and from the front. And he came and he heard this. You know, the armies of the Israelites were on one side and the armies of the Philistines were on the other. There was a valley in between them. But there was a spirit of fear among the Israelite people, among the Israelite army. These were people that were ready for battle, but there was still fear in their heart, even though nothing had happened. They saw this great problem they had in front of them, and that great problem was a man called Goliath. Now, believe me, you know, a 9-foot man standing there in front of you, that's a problem. That's a problem. You know, and he weren't a lot of tall people sometimes are bean poles. He wasn't a bean pole, but how do I know that? Because the scripture says about the weight of his armor and things. He had to be a very powerful, stout man as well. So that's a big problem. For whatever reason, these great warriors had taken their eyes off their God and put them on their problems. They saw what was about in front of them and said, "This is insurmountable. We'll never be able to overcome it." These are people who had did battle before. But yet, there was a spirit of fear among God's people. Isn't that like today? There's a spirit of fear. Why? Not that there's not a problem. I'm not saying there's not a problem. But why is there a spirit of fear? Have you forgotten where your help comes from? Is God not greater than any problem that you're going to face? I don't care how big it is or whatever's going on, God is bigger than that. He can conquer any problem that you can come up with in this world. God is bigger. Have we forgotten that? Those warriors had forgotten that, and they lived in a spirit of fear. I tell you this, I know not what will happen, because I'm not a prophet, but I do know this, I will not live in a spirit of fear. I will not live my life in fear. I will not do it. I'm going to continue to live my life. Does that mean I'm not going to take precautions? No, God gives us wisdom. But I'm not going to live in a spirit of fear in my life. I'm not going to live afraid. It's not going to happen. In our society today, fear is rampant. Why did I ever think to go to Walmart the other day? My goodness. As soon as you walk in the door, you could feel the spirit in there. It was completely different. Not that it's not a lot of times in Walmart anyway. But you could feel there was something different there. Why? Why? We're panicking. Some of the ways fear manifests itself comes out in worry, anxiety, and stress. When you are experiencing any of those three, worry, anxiety, or stress, we tend to act and do things that we normally wouldn't do. When we're experiencing these things, we're no longer trusting in the God that we say we believe in. We're saying that basically that, you know, God's not going to get this right. This problem is too big for God. If I'm stressing on the problem instead of putting my faith in God. Scripture talks about many times about something pursuing you, whether it's something or someone, and fleeing when no one is actually pursuing you. You're running, a lot of times when you're running in fear, you're fleeing something that's probably not even going to happen. They say 80% of the things that we worry about never actually happen. So we spend an awful lot of time worrying about something that's never going to happen. Remember this. God gives us a spirit of boldness. God does not give us a spirit of fear. A spirit of fear comes from somewhere else. A spirit of fear does not come from God. A spirit of fear comes from the enemy. It the scripture talks about we should have boldness like a lion. If you belong to God and you know where your help comes from, God instills boldness, not fear. God is trying to do something. Time and time again, I read in the scriptures about how if I put my faith in God and not in my circumstances, it's all going to work out. You see, my circumstances in life are constantly going to be changing. All the time. One time, you got a mountain in front of you that you need to climb. I assure you this, once you've climbed it, there's going to be another one. In life, it's a constant situation, circumstances are constantly changing. All the time, there's always going to be another mountain to climb. I need to put my faith in God and not my circumstances. A lot of circumstances in life I cannot control. But I know who can. And I'm going to put my faith in God, not in my circumstances. Well, Pastor, you don't know what I'm going through. No, I don't. You might be going through something really, really tragic right now, or something that's just overwhelming you right now. But I do know this, that God is bigger than any of those things that you're going through. And there's no need for us to have a spirit of fear about it. God is going to get it right. He is going to get it right. Not one time has he ever been wrong. Now, I don't know why he does certain things, and I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to know all that. But I do know this, he is going to get it right. And I will not live my life in fear. You see, God had a far greater plan for me and you from the very beginning than we can ever come up with. We can't even comprehend the plans he has for our life. But sometimes we get it wrong. Some days we get it right. But when we get it wrong, it's okay because you know what? I know where my help comes from. And he's going to help me through those times when I get it wrong. But when I do get it right, I need to keep focusing on God and know that he's the one that helped me get it right. And not walk away from him when everything is going well. God is on our side. I need to trust in him. And not trust in what the media has to say or, the latest gossip or whatever it may be. I don't trust in those things. I trust in a God that's far bigger than any of those. Now, I just want to ask you a question. If you just do me a favor, maybe everybody would bow their head just for a minute and close your eyes just for a minute.